Hello and welcome back to my channel. It feels good to be recording the podcast again, although I don't know how long or short-lived that is going to be. If you have been wondering why it's been quiet on my channel, why I haven't been recording anything, it is very much because I follow the flow of my own path and of my own life, and there since like a month ago, I would say, it's been very much, it has not felt aligned to be recording. I am on a spiritual journey, like obviously every single one of you listening to this, and the journey required my full attention, and the rest that I've been guided to take, I had to take. That also meant really going inwards and kind of being with myself and facing everything, which meant I have not felt guided to creating anything. So if you are in this period yourself, you're definitely not alone. There's a lot of us that are kind of suspended in the void, no matter like what kind of spiritual journey that you're going through, or like what kind of awakening, or like through what. No matter like which vehicle you as a soul have chosen to awaken and to ascend, it doesn't really matter. We're all going through it. Obviously, there's a lot of things happening collectively on the planet, both in the 3D, in the 5D, in the higher realms. And so here we are, right? So welcome back. I wanted to actually touch upon something that I have not been kind of made aware of, obviously up until the moment that I myself kind of stepped into that period of time on my own journey, and that is the moment where you as a divine feminine kind of rise above the things. However, you are very much aware that even though you may have risen above certain things and very much detached and I guess risen above is a good description to really call that, right? It's not that you are like over that hurdle just yet. So you're basically like taking a step over a certain threshold, and you're basically like in the air, but you have not yet touched the other side. Like that is the only way that I could describe it. And so you're like in the split second of that is between moments, and you're precisely in the middle of, like in between these two moments, where one moment that you are already leaving and have been kind of leaving is the old self, the old programming, but you have kind of not yet really taken a step into the new you, because the new you is still emerging. And even though it may feel quite prolonged, it is really like this in-between state. You're kind of like creating yourself anew, like you're giving birth to yourself anew, but you're like in the midst of it, but you haven't yet been born. And it's at the same time, obviously there's like so many other things happening. And if you are on a twin soul journey, if you have your twin here on earth together with you, and you are going through this preparation phase before your joint mission, you are kind of also on a certain threshold. And this is kind of what I wanted to speak about today, because there's so much material and information going online that kind of speaks about, you know, all the healing, right? So, there's the dark night of the soul, and there's the ego death, and there's so much transformation, so much transmuting, so much change, right? And everything is changing constantly. Well, obviously it is always, whether you're like, it's not just you, right? Obviously it's your reality as well. But it's the constant change. However, if you're listening to this message, then you are in a space where you have completed the activation, the preparation, I hear. And it is very quiet. Sorry, I do apologize. That was a confirmation burp at the same time. Yes, so it's very much like a certain period of time, or like a certain stage of your journey, of your ascension journey, let me just put it this way, right? Has been completed. It has very much been completed. So your transformation and your death, because you have changed so much, you have basically, let's say, with the help of the divine and your twin soul, killed off so many outdated version of yourself that you're completely new being, right? And this is kind of still what's happening. We're kind of like going through and clearing out and healing like the last remnants of timelines and a version of ourselves that no longer serve us, that are no longer needed for our existence in the 5D. And so you are leaving that behind, right? But again, there's so much information about like, you as the divine feminine is going through this, and you will be going through that, and there's so much healing, there's so much transformation, there's a lot of help available and kind of like guidance from other divine feminines that have gone through or are going through these stages, kind of helping us and explaining things, which is amazing. This is kind of what we're supposed to be doing, but not in my collective yet. Nobody has been speaking about like what happens next, right? Yes, it is a prelude to permanent union or reunion with your twin soul, which is materializing in the 3D. But the 3D has its own divine order. There are certain things that must fall into place, but you never stop, right? So your internal energy and your internal being, you kind of never stop changing and evolving and rising your frequency. And so what happens is basically is that there comes a moment on the journey where this extremely heavy weight is being lifted from your being, which is, from what I gather, basically you putting down the weight of your connection with your twin soul. So with that other part of you, which is your twin, you're putting down the burden of carrying the connection and fighting for it and working for it and investing into it. you're putting it down, which in on itself, it's creating like a vacuum of space within your twin's life. But this video is not about that, right? But because you're putting it down, there comes, okay, I hear identity crisis, right? So basically, no matter how long you have been in this preparation phase, and I mean, because like I have noticed that depending on how the journey kind of looks like for each twin pair, people will kind of call these different moments different labels, and it's kind of confusing if your journey is a little bit different than the person you're listening to. So it doesn't really matter whether you have had a lot of like this back and forth with your twin in the 3D, where there has been like cycles of coming back together, separating, no contacts, reconnecting, getting into some sort of romantic situation with them in the 3D, something happening and them, running away again, or it doesn't matter. I'm talking like when I say on my channel, when you hear me speaking, from the moment you have met your twin, so from the moment you have been activated to the moment where, like the moment comes where you and your twin are aligned to come together in the 3D and you come together, that is a preparation phase, no matter how it looks like, because every soul's journey will be different. So every pair's journey will be different. So it doesn't really matter how it looks like. But during that preparation phase, we divine feminines kind of take upon us, because this is kind of what we're being told, right? That we are these wounded feminines that have to heal, that have to transmute. And yes, this is definitely a part of who we are. This is our role on this journey, because we are the spiritual leaders of our connection and then of our community where we're meant to be. We're meant to show the way for our masculine, and so for the other you out there, and then for the collective. But that kind of becomes a certain persona, right? So that kind of becomes an identity. And now basically is the time for you to drop that persona and basically be nothing, and slowly but steadily build your identity back to who you truly are. Not by giving yourself any kind of labels, and they don't need to be like, let's say, toxic or low vibrational. Even if you're saying like, oh, I'm a light worker. Yeah, of course you are. You're a light being. This is why you're here. But you don't have to name yourself anything. You don't have to use a special word to describe who you are. What you need actually as a being is to embody you. So if you feel very much guided to, my guides are kind of showing me Reiki healing, which is very helpful for a lot of us, right? And very gratifying for people who do that, and very helpful for people who enjoy, I was gonna say enjoy. Yes, enjoy that, and it's very helpful for them, and it's a good like exchange, right? But it's not about like you then telling yourself and everybody around you that, oh, I am this Reiki healer, and then that's it, because you're so much more, and you're meant to actually embody so much more. Basically, you are meant to drop all the labels. You know who you are. You know that you are not, how do I say it? You are a being, a light being that the divine created you, and you are meant to be here on earth to show the way by embodying your true self, whatever that means. And that can mean that, let's say, today you feel like, oh, today I am the healer because I feel guided to, and the energy, my own inner energy and kind of the flow within me pulls me to help somebody by healing them, by guiding them in some way, right? Let's say you are a Reiki healer, right? And you feel guided to do this, but maybe the day after or some hours later, after you have done the healing for somebody or for yourself, or however it is that you're doing it, no matter which way, right? This is your creation. You feel very much guided to, I don't know, kind of be in a hermit mode and turn inwards, and you feel like, I kind of want to go very much deep within, and I want to, let's say, I hear finding the truth of the world. So kind of like immersing yourself in the laws of universe, meditating. Maybe you feel curious about like, okay, how are the higher dimensions? Like maybe how would it feel for me to be there and to kind of embody these, even though here I am on earth having a human experience, because I am tethered to my human vessel. And so you kind of go in and, let's say, meditate, right? And maybe this period of your hermit period, I guess, or this moment that you feel that you really want to immerse yourself in, maybe it's for a week, and then comes another wave that is guiding you to yet something else. Maybe you feel like, you know what, yes, I am this beautiful spiritual being, because we are, obviously, and I can do Reiki, I can do this, and I do this for other people, and I'm very happy that I can help people. But now I feel like really throwing myself and enjoying something that is very much from the 3D realm, whatever that would be, right? I don't know, exercising or traveling, sightseeing, spending time with family, friends, whatever that is. And not really kind of putting yourself in these boxes with labels, because what we are doing we're kind of confining us, because there a lot of times when we are kind of thinking of ourselves and others as, let's say you meet somebody from your soul group, right? And they're telling you, hey, listen, you know what, I love working with crystals, and I don't know, maybe my soul's purpose is, I don't know, having an online business selling crystals to people or making jewelry. And basically what's happening for you is that it's very easy to kind of put that person in this box that kind of is labeled like, okay, makes jewelry with the crystals, so this is kind of the crystal person. And basically you're projecting your judgment on that person and kind of confining that person's being to being just that goldsmith or entrepreneur, if they have maybe like their own business and they have to take care of this earthly business. They have to think about paying bills and earning money and all of these things, right? Paying taxes for their business. And that is kind of all you think of them, but it is so much more to all of us. And basically, I just saw 1919 on the recording time, could be relevant to somebody. I wanted to come in here to basically share with everybody that, yes, there comes a point where we as the divine feminines are collapsing. Well, no, it's our identity that is collapsing, because the preparation period that we have been in, it's finished, I hear. So this period where it's you specifically, so you clearing out your karma, you healing and releasing and alchemizing all of the karmic imprint that you have carried, you have basically cleared it all out. It's just that, not that you're done with the journey, it's just that part of the journey is done. And it's very important for you to kind of realize that you're not supposed to think of yourself and see yourself as this wounded feminine that has to heal all the time, that has to alchemize things all the time. Because yes, you will be doing that continuously, just not on the scale that it has been when you had to clear out your karmic imprints and patterns and wounds, right? Because that was excruciating. It was hell. It was like, just any way you can humanly describe it, anything similar to hell, I don't know, however you wish to describe it, it's been horrible basically, right? So it's not going to be that anymore, but you are still the embodiment of a divine feminine. Yes, you have balanced out the masculine and the feminine polarity within you, or you are embodying that balance, right? Even though you are continuously having to kind of balance these on not even a day-to-day basis, it's basically like from a moment to moment basis, because every moment, every wave of energy, every step you take, basically you kind of have to balance it out. But now it is on more of a subconscious level, because you have come so far. You are not this wounded feminine anymore that has to like buckle down, sit down, purge, for a whole week and journal and do these rituals and do this and do that and just forget everything else. That period of time, basically that leg of the journey, so that part of your journey is done now. And it's what's actually happening right now is that because you're no longer that wounded feminine, right now you are an embodiment of your true self, because you have healed these things. Yes, there may be some things that sometimes kind of rise to the surface, but you're so proficient at kind of going through these things that it's kind of no longer that big of a deal. It's maybe not the right way to say it, but you can feel the wave. You observe that, oh, the wave is here. I can feel that I am upset. I'm gonna release the energy in whatever way that it is that you do, and it passes. And then you're back to your balanced self. And it's not that you're sitting there for, an X amount of time trying to kind of work with it, and it's all you're doing, everything else is falling to like on the back burner, and all you do is heal and focus on that. And so I've been told that there is this dismantling of identity. So yes, you're dropping this wounded feminine identity, and now you're meant to kind of build yourself up. But what I'm guided to tell you is that do not put any labels onto yourself. You are you. You are just meant to follow your heart. You're meant to follow the flow of your life. And if you feel guided to create in the way that feels good for you, that will be reciprocated to you, right? If you feel like investing into yourself in any way, do that. If you feel like working and pouring into something or someone, then do that. Just really do this instead of it's all about presence, really. Please be present within yourself at every moment, instead of thinking like, oh, I am the divine feminine, I have to heal and there will come a moment where you feel perhaps some energy from your divine masculine, because your divine masculine is also in his preparation phase. There are also things happening. Maybe comes a moment where you feel triggered, and it's not like, oh no, here it comes. Oh, I am the divine feminine, so now I have to transmute because this and that. And you're telling yourself a story instead of feeding into that. Yes, notice this, because you're supposed to be present with yourself. Oh, I see, the wave is here, I am influenced by it, I am meant to transmute it. Just be with yourself, do what you feel is right for you in this moment, but don't attach any stories to it, because you're above that now. And right now, I think that there is this, I will rephrase it. There is this pattern on earth in our society where we label everything and everybody. And it's basically, I will give you an analogy, and I cannot pronounce that apparently. Analogy of school, right? Let's say you pick a medical degree, and you go, you come to a moment in life and you pick a medical degree, and you think like, oh, okay, I'm going to be a doctor. And you study and you become a doctor. And then obviously it's a very good thing, right? You help people, and, for some part of the society, you will get validation, maybe your family, your like dear ones will be proud of you, you will get validation, right? There's also a toxic or like a shade. What's a shade? It's a shadow side to this, because it's also very much like, oh, I'm doing this and it feels good because people respect me because I'm a doctor. But basically, that label follows you no matter where you are and no matter what you do. If you are, let's say you are a doctor or a nurse or whatever, right? Or if you studied economy, or if you are a lawyer, let's say, then it's very easy to kind of like have that and carry that label within ourselves. But I mean, look at how many people, let's say, studied law, they wanted to be a lawyer. Let's like even leave all the shadow side of it. Let's say you as a person really wanted to be a lawyer because you felt like this fire within you and you really wanted to do it and you had these good reasons, right? And then let's say you worked as a lawyer for 10 years and you feel like, you know what, it's no longer aligned with me. Now I want to, I don't know, sail or I don't know, do something else, whatever it is really. A lot of times that label that we have put on ourselves stops us from following the flow of our life, basically to follow the guidance that is being given to us from our higher selves, from the divine, because there is always a path that we as human beings, so this human experience that we are meant to follow. And we're meant to follow because that path is meant to give us not just the best things for our highest good, but also the most joy, right? But if we kind of confine ourselves to like, oh, I am a lawyer, I cannot possibly go and do something else because like, oh gosh, I spent so many years studying as a lawyer and I have been a prominent lawyer and I've been working as a lawyer, like how could I possibly leave that life behind me? You're basically stopping yourself from giving yourself like really what you want, because the flow of energy and your heart is telling you that it's no longer aligned. And then it becomes this, ego versus soul, which people will just call like head versus the heart, because the head will be like, oh, but there's so many practical positive sides of being a lawyer. Like I have a stable job, a stable income, like people respect me. It maybe have brought me some joy at some point or satisfaction. But at the same time, your soul is kind of guiding you to do that other thing. And, here comes the next lesson. So let collapse the identity that you have believed yourself to have, basically. Allow for all of it to collapse. You will be still dying basically over and over again because you are cleaning your system out of these other timelines, these fragmented soul parts. Let's say that. So basically you're recalling all of that fragmented parts of your being back to yourself. And the more you recall to yourself, the more you call back your soul to yourself, the more of these other timelines you collapse, I apologize, the closer you kind of get to what is going to bring you incredible joy. And that is really the whole point. So this is what I wanted to say. If you're listening to this around close to the time that I'm posting it, tomorrow, for you guys that are in Europe, tomorrow is the full moon. And I think it's called the blood full moon. And then we are in eclipse season. And then there is the 9999 portal. No, 3 nines. It's the month and the day and the year. So there's a lot of things happening. There's a lot of, I hear culmination. So there's a lot of closing out cycles. There's a lot of things happening. And if you find yourself kind of feeling this heavy energy, do not be alarmed. Allow for whatever comes to kind of pass through you, because whatever you're releasing, you're closing out timelines and cycles that are really just no longer for you. And if you feel kind of lost, let's say, that you are but I know nothing at this point. I don't know who I am. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Be still. Be still and rest. It's a trustful from the universe. And on that note, I'm actually gonna finish this video. Thank you so much for listening. And I will talk to you another time. Bye.